to another episode of Sri Mother's Life. Today we will talk about the eternal presence of Sri Ramakrishna in her life. Even after Master left his body, she always she really felt that the Master was always around her. Not only did she feel, she made it very clear in all the ways of dealing with things that the Master was always and always eternally present. So we will talk about that today. The eternal presence of the Master in Sri Sharda Devi's life. This is a very striking feature. Now, she always said that the Master was actually equivalent of God as man. Sri Ramakrishna formed the center of all her thought and activity while he was alive. Even after his physical disappearance, a sense of his presence as a living entity, palpitating reality, continued to be the groundwork of her earthly consciousness. The Master appeared to her in a vision and told her that death for him meant only passing from one room to another. She had verifications of this fact in the vision she had of him and in the help and guidance she received from him at all times of crisis in her life. The Master's presence was a reality to her in a very intimate sense. One found this from the way in which she did his daily worship and offering, which had a uniqueness of its own. Her worship looked more like the actual service of the Master and direct communion with him rather than a ritualistic procedure. In fact, she employed no rituals at all. The things for offerings, such as flowers, sandal paste, and fruits, were all prepared either by herself or someone else. She was very particular that this was done with scrupulous neatness and precision, exactly as one would do for the reception of a living person. Her actual worship consisted only in placing the flowers before the Master with loving devotion and in meditating for a while, which took about half an hour regularly. It was the way in which she made the food offering that, more than anything else, conveyed a sense of her After arranging the food, she would address the Master as one would a living person and say, "Please come and take your food." At Jairambati, she was often heard to tell the Master on the Jagadhatri Puja day, "Oh Lord, finish your meal a little quickly today. I have to attend the Jagadhatri Puja." This behavior of hers would be puzzling until it was understood that she actually used to visualize the Master partaking the food. She used to say that he took it in three ways. Either he actually partook of the offering, or a ray of light from his forehead touched the food, or he only indicated his acceptance without actually partaking of the food. Never would she be satisfied unless she found the Master accepting the food, and no food she would herself take unless it was accepted by him. A remarkable example of this took place when she was once invited by a family of devotees at Calcutta, well known among the followers of Sri Ramakrishna. Though devoted, the reputation of that family was not at all clean. Now, when the Holy Mother went there, she was requested to offer cooked food to the master in the family shrine. Being very much pressed, she agreed to do so. But, as she said later on, she found the master reluctant to accept the food, for he could accept no food other than that came from pure souls. Finally, after much prayer, he just touched a bit of the payash, a kind of porridge, kheer in Hindi, to his tongue. That day, the Holy Mother was observed not to eat anything from the rich varieties of dishes served to her. With some difficulty, she swallowed a little pious, for she could not bring herself to eat anything that the Master had not taken. Even when she traveled long distances, she would not take food without offering it to the Master. She would break the journey at some convenient place, cook the food, offer it to the Master, and then partake of it. A striking event, illustrative of her non ceremonial devotion and living contact with the Master, took place once on her way to Jairambati. Arrangements had been made for cooking rice in an earthen pot. But in the act of getting the pot down, it dropped from a disciple's hand and broke, throwing its contents out. All were perplexed as to what they would offer that noon, but not the Holy Mother. She gathered the clean rice from the top layers and offered it to the Master, saying, "O Lord, you must be satisfied with this today." She knew that the Lord she worshipped was a living presence, one near and dear to her, who did not stand by any ceremonial considerations. Another instance illustrated how the Master was a living presence to her. In the procedure of worshipping followed at Udbodhan office, it was customary to pick the best of the offered flowers, remove the water from them, and decorate the photograph of the Master with them when he was put to sleep. One day, while the Holy Mother was taking rest in the afternoon, she dreamt that the Master had got up from the bed and was on the floor. Surprised at this, she woke up, approached the Master's bed, and saw the photograph covered with ants. Evidently, the ants had come from the flowers, and her dream indicated that they disturbed the rest of him who was a living presence to her. Therefore, she instructed the Swami who assisted in the shrine to dispense with the decorations. To all those who went to her in a mood of repentance or with too spiritual aspiration, she conveyed a little of her vivid sense of the Master's presence. She assured the Master's grace and protection to them and helped to create in them a conviction of the same. But she claimed no power for herself. To her, the Master was everything, and she was his humble instrument. She had obliterated herself in him. So also, never by word or action did she convey the slightest trace of self assertion with regards to him. Ordinarily, she never showed that her earthly relations with him gave her any special claim on him. He was the same to all, and devotion was the only condition of realizing his presence. While the idea described above is comparatively easy to understand, it should not be misconstrued to mean as mere faith in the personal survival in a deity form or a exhausting the many sidedness of a relationship with the Master. The conception has much more profound depth than appears at first glance. That the Master came and that he is ever present, even now, after his physical disappearance, is an assurance of his eternal existence. For she identified him with the universal being and all his manifestations. When the Master passed away, she exclaimed, "Ah, Mother Kali, have you left me?" She told Sudhira Devi one day, "I was in such a state at one time that I could not even drive away an ant from the food offering because of the conviction that the Master himself was eating it." To several devotees, she said, "The Master is everything. He is the Guru and he is the chosen deity." To a devotee, Surendranath, who felt some incongruency in worshipping the Master as a male form but addressing him at the time of dedicating the flowers of his japa as, "O great goddess," the mother replied, "It is both the great God and the great goddess. He is in all the deities and he dwells in all the creatures. You may call him the great god or the great goddesses." To another lady devotee, she said, "He is everything. He is both the Purusha and the Prakriti. Everything flows from him." She maintained that the Master was the all the deities dwelled, and that they could all be worshipped in him and with his name. If the mother then looked upon the Master as the universal being fit to be worshipped as all deities, and herself as his humble votary and disciple, there is an esoteric sense in which she was identical with him, with a distinction that does not amount to a difference at all. Side by side with the acceptance of the Master as one with the Supreme Divinity, she also spoke of him as the Redeemer, the one entity that incarnates from age to age for the redemption of mankind and of herself as his Shakti, accommodating and accompanying him in all his incarnations. As such, they were the observer and the reverse of the same coin, and not merely the deity and the devotee, or the guru and the disciple. It is this notion that some of the early lay disciples of the Master failed to grasp, and which came to be corrected later with deeper understanding as illustrated in the relationship of Girish Chandra Ghosh with her. It was again against this tendency to make an absolute difference between them that Swami Premananda declared that those who do not do so, that is, make a difference between the Master and the Mother, will not make any progress in spiritual life. A man with a devotional insight into the Master's life can easily understand that they are the wrap and the woof of the same web. The vision that sees her only as a follower or a votary or just the Guru's wife is as mistaken a notion as setting her as a parallel personage in exclusion of him. So, from this, we can understand what the mother was. She was no different from Sri Ramakrishna. They are both the same. So let us accept and offer her our pranams to her and tell ourselves that she is none other than that same Shakti, the universal mother. Hope you liked today's episode. Stay tuned to Devakshar and like and share our videos. And do not fail to subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us. Namaskar.